Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's another edition of ACC Baseball Etc. I'm Daron Vaught. This is yet another in our preseasoning series of head coach conversations as we talk to all 16 now head coaches in the ACC. Our first newcomer is with us. Of the Cal Bears, it's Mike Neu. Mike, good to see you. We were talking just before we came on a second ago. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you as I cover the ACC and see you guys and your team a lot more frequently. But welcome. It's great to have you. We're excited about this new partnership. How has the transition been entering this new era of Bears baseball?
Yeah, I mean, so far so good. We're obviously in the beginning stages of it, but the ACC has been great. A lot of emphasis on baseball, promoting the game, promoting the conference. Finding ways for us to be successful as a conference. I mean, I have nothing but great things to say, and obviously we're excited about the level of competition. It's going to be really high. A lot of opportunity to play great teams. And, so I think it's just, all positive for us, as far as the transition goes. Obviously, probably not what we, thought was going to happen. But, when you kind of come to the realization that, hey, we're not in the pack anymore and, getting off the West Coast and you start to get a feel for the ACC, it's really exciting.
What's the process been like with that in mind of wrapping your head around the logistical nuances to being a team that's primarily going to play teams over this way, over on the East Coast?
Yeah, we just tried to, take everything in, get our schedule, manage our non-conference games. We're going to play, more local, more at home. Fortunately, we're in an area in Northern California, where we have some teams, in this region that we can play in midweek games that are commuter trips or close. And even the non-conference games, we're going to play more at home or more local just to try to manage that travel schedule. We go on 4 trips during the regular season. It's not a crazy amount of travel compared to what we've had in the past. The distances are going to be farther. We're going to leave on Wednesdays just to, manage our travel schedule a little bit and hopefully get out a little sooner. Or if there are any travel issues, we'll be able to handle those. So yeah, there's been some adjustments compared to normal years, but I don't think it's anything. It's probably less than what is perceived, when it comes to, how crazy it's going to be, and part of that is because we've done, I think, hopefully a pretty good job, planning ahead and trying to schedule it so it can be, good for our student athletes and our players to still handle class schedules and travel and preparation and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. As you guys enter the ACC, this is an ACC show. So it is fair to assume that anyone who listens or watches are ACC fans, whether they're Cal Golden Bear fans or fans of another institution in the conference. For those who might be less familiar with your program, and you've been there, 8 years now? I mean, it's nearing a decade. I've gotten to know some of your guys through my time with USA Baseball over recent years. So I get a gist for kind of their vibe, even if they are different individually. They all kind of carry the Golden Bears swagger with them. So I've got some notion, but how would you best describe the Golden Bears program? Like this is our identity as a program.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think, we are, a little bit more of a blue collar program. You're going to have the guys that are here, with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Academics is a big deal here as well. So, you're going to have some guys that are really driven in a lot of areas, including baseball. I think, we do have our guys that a really good pedigree of big leaguers. Really good, group of guys that are really motivated to be great on the field, but also, beyond, their years in baseball. So I think you're going to see like a, hardworking, competitive, blue collar, group of guys that also enjoy the game. A lot of our staff played professional baseball. I think we, understand there's a lot of different ways to get this thing done. We're not going to micromanage our guys. We're going to make sure we have our standards, when it comes to what we think is important, but we're also going to allow guys to, be who they are and be successful within their own, strengths. And then, we're going to be great teammates. I think these guys love each other, and we really try to promote that selfless attitude and playing for each other. And you'll see that in our group of guys. We got some really tight knit dudes that are playing for the guy next to them, and we promote that really well. So I think when you see our team play, hopefully you see a disciplined group of competitive dudes that are going to lay it out on the field, and that they love each other, and they're going to be, super successful either in professional baseball or when their careers are over there, in some other realm. And the network of alumni we have is as strong as anywhere in the country, so it's exciting. I mean, it's a great place to be. I love it. It's a dream job for me to be here. And, I just like to, keep that aspect of our program as strong as possible in every way.
I love it. Just to name a few of my favorites, I mentioned my brushes with some of your former guys. A recent Golden Spikes Award winner in Andrew Vaught. There could not be a more pleasant human being to be around. So it was fun to get to know him when he was with Team USA. I love RJ Green. And I talk about guys being different individually. Those two are pretty different, but both just awesome guys. I love that breadth of your program in recent years. And then Dylan Beavers, who kind of went through his own little journey this summer. I was with him with Team USA, right? He struggled out of the gate and really turned it on toward the end of his time. And obviously those guys, high draft picks and into their professional careers now. So that's just an example, a smattering of what people can expect in terms of great talent that you guys pump out year in and year out.
Yeah, no doubt. No, those guys are all awesome. And you're right. Been really fortunate to have some of those guys with Team USA or drafted high, or, obviously with Vaughn, National Player of the Year. That's not an easy accomplishment. And like you said, I mean, just like a unbelievable human and worker, and just has made an impression on our program that's lasted for years. And all those guys really have. It's been really cool.
Yeah. Let's get to this version, the 2025 version of your Cal team. I mentioned Rodney Green Jr., RJ. He's one of the outgoing players. Caleb Lamavita was a great star for you. No longer there. But you do have some pretty enticing names coming back. Jared Advincula in the middle infield. And you might have to help me, Mike, with PJ's last name. How's it pronounced? Moutsouridis. Okay, so exactly as it looks. I would have fared okay if I would have just tried it out. So that's kind of the starting point to me anyways. When I look over the roster, the position player group is loaded, and that is kind of the headline of your team. How would you characterize the breakdown of the roster and what you're most looking forward to perhaps this season?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, we got touched up by the draft a little bit, which, isn't a bad thing. The guys in our program developed, I think, lost, some pitchers in those, kind of middle rounds to late rounds, which, it's going to allow some opportunity for some other guys. But yeah, I think the strength kind of starts up the middle, with some really good returning talent, and those middle infielders are as good as anybody, and great guys to be around and fun to watch play. Returned Seth Gwen, who had a great year for us as an outfielder. Max Handren, back, who's been just like a ultra steady player for us and a hitter for us. So, have some pieces in that offense that we feel really, really good about, and then some opportunity for some other guys to kind of step up in Loma and RJ's place. But some guys that have some experience, and if they don't, they have some talent, and I would say that probably sums up our staff, our pitching staff, where we did. I mean, we probably lost as many innings as we've ever lost, here, which, like, on the outside looking in is like a pretty big concern. But I think on the positive side, we do, return some guys that pitched really well for us in smaller roles, and then have some guys coming back from some injuries that are pretty dynamic players. And then we have some transfers that have some experience, or if they don't, they have some talent. So I would not, not knowing what's going on our program, it's a question mark pitching wise, and it still is because we haven't done it. But I also think that we do, have the ability, if we can get experienced quick. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to do now. Like, hey, man, let's prep our guys the best that we can, and in every creative way we can to get ready to play against, great competition. We're obviously going to get that competition soon. So we're going to have to, learn on the fly and get experienced by playing games. So hopefully we'll be better as the season goes on. I have no doubt that we will. But I do like, what our chances are with what we have. I really feel good about who we are without being experienced. And I don't think you can always say that. But it'll be exciting to see, a guy like Austin Turkington, who was, kind of pitched an opener / back in bullpen role, has a chance to potentially start and be really good this year. He's been a dynamic dude for us in smaller roles. And, we got some guys, like David Shaw transferring from Texas, coming off an injury, who was really good out of their bullpen a couple years ago, and had a down year, coming back quick off an injury. We feel like he can be really dynamic, and we have a few other guys like that in those situations that we're confident in. So it's going to be exciting. I think like any team, there's going to be some adversity coming, and how we handle it will probably be the determining factor of how our season goes.
Yeah, you mentioned Shaw. I wanted to bring up another transfer or two. Shaw from Texas A&M. You guys got Carl Schmidt, who redshirted last year. He's originally a California guy, was like a pretty big high school star coming out. So cool to see him return to his home state. If I may pull back the scope and sort of ask a broader question about transfers, with you and your staff over the past 2, 3, up to 5 years, right? Things have changed rapidly.
Sure. Yeah.
What's the evolution of your approach in the portal and doing such things to fill a roster been?
Yeah. I would say the evolution came like all at once. I think we had 2 grad transfer pitchers on last year's roster. They were great. It was a good way to kind of supplement your team, and probably not have a ton of movement from the year before. And then, I think this year, not just for us, but, for almost any program in the country, it's just become like a whirlwind of, transfer portal, recruiting, NIL, all these things. So, plan, no. Just like, let's jump into this thing, and be, working every single day, all day and night, to try to figure out how we can, best manage our roster. And when it was all said and done, I think we have 22 new players when you talk about freshmen, junior college, and transfer guys. And not really what I think anybody signed up for. But you kind of have 2 choices. It's like, all right, man, like, I'm going to like let this thing control us, or we're going to try to go see how we can best, manage this roster and be the best we can possibly be in this new environment. And I think that's what we did. But yeah, it wasn't awesome. And if anybody had a great plan for it, I think whatever their plan was, they got punched right in the gut and had to figure something else out. So it was like a new plan every day, but I think we did okay.
Yeah, no, that's well said. Well said. I think you speak for a lot of coaches in that the plan, well, if you had one, it probably changed. And then the next day it probably changed as well. So 22 newcomers, though, that's striking in a way that I'm trying to envision, for instance, maybe like 6 years ago, what the preseason there looked like, and compared to now. Inevitably, you have to change things when you have so much influx, right?
For sure. Yeah, no, I've talked about it with our staff before. I was the recruiting coordinator, for Dave Esker when I was at Cal for 4 years. And, our game plan was essentially, You're going to know who's going to get drafted for the most part. You may vary for 1 to 2 guys. We mostly recruited high school players, and we were going to go for some, high upside competitive dudes that we felt like were going to be super athletic and we would be able to develop over the course of time. And, I thought we did a pretty good job in my tenure knowing, how to manage that. And it was something you learned, but, we bring in 8 to, 10 guys every year, and you would know what you're losing, what you're getting. That has completely changed, so now, you are living in a completely different world of like planning for things that you don't know what is you're planning for even. And then you're managing it on the fly. And then when you do get your group in, you're trying to implement, your strengths, your weaknesses, your style of play with a bunch of new individuals. And hopefully, you got some really good makeup guys that can handle it, which I think we did. But yeah, your preparation becomes, very creative and, very focused, and you still have the same amount of time as everybody else, but you want to do the best you can possibly do to get them prepared. And so we're still in that phase. We're 2.5 weeks away from playing our first game, and we're trying to do the best to get prepared, stay healthy, and on day one just go compete with the best preparation we can have. And we probably won't feel like we're there yet, but we're going to do the best we can. And so it's been different. There's no doubt about it, but it's not just for us, that's for sure.
Yeah, and with that in mind, that sort of leads right into something that came to mind to me as you were speaking there. Thomas Eager is now the recruiting coordinator at Stanford, and he and I recently have talked a decent bit about the high academic institution variable of getting players into Stanford. You are in a similar situation. You've done the job that he's doing now before. With this jump to the ACC, do you have any particular thoughts about kind of looking around and, North Carolina is here, Duke is here. You're obviously making this change with Stanford. Do you have particular thoughts about, these guys have done it in this league, so maybe we should look to kind of how they've done it to mold how we're going to succeed in this league? Not that Cal did not do it in a similar way in the Pac, but I'm just curious if maybe you've drawn some parallels.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think, there's some unbelievably successful, coaches in this league. And, I've definitely reached out already to quite a few of them. And I'm excited, to get to meet a lot of these guys in person and just learn, from them, on a lot of different fronts. I mean, I'm a coach because I love coaching and I love development and I love building, this program. So, I'm still a student, of the game, and I still want to learn. And that's one of the things I'm definitely excited about, is to, not only for our success, we want to be the best we can possibly be, but I'm excited to learn from some of these coaches and, how they're doing things. And, we're paying attention to that more. We obviously have not really played any of these teams before. So, the styles of play will be new. So yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be exciting for us in a lot of ways, and definitely for me personally, speaking for myself, I think our coaching staff too, but just getting a chance to learn from some of these programs and coaches and how they've been successful. I mean, that's going to be exciting.
With that in mind, you and members of your staff had pro careers, so you've seen a lot, you've traveled a lot. Is there anywhere in particular in the ACC you're like especially eager to get to or to see? Is there anything on the schedule maybe or for next year, if it's a place that you guys don't go this year, that you're particularly excited about?
I mean, I played at Miami and we won a national championship, there. So, I mean, I am definitely, excited about that trip. That's next year. We won't play there this year, but, I mean, I had a great experience. Obviously, anytime you go to Omaha and win the College World Series, I think that experience is pretty exciting. So, the history there, the people there, that's going to be a trip that I look forward to next year. But I mean, realistically, just all the places. I mean, great coaches, great teams, great cities, and a lot of great fan bases. I mean, I've got to experience the Pac for so long, and obviously play, non-conference in a lot of different places, either as a player or as a coach. So, anytime I think you get to experience some new environments with some great programs, that's an exciting thing. And we're going to do that like every week, here for the next 3 years. So that's going to be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you mentioned I led you right into it, discussing your time at Miami. I would be amiss to not mention that the usual co-host of this program is Danny Graves, also a closer, also a Miami Hurricane. What is the common ground? I mean, that's the common ground. How often over the years have you guys crossed paths? Because we got to get you guys to circle back up when he's available for one of these.
Yeah, I mean, going to Miami, and then, I ended up being the closer in '99 on that team. You kind of know of, the legendary guys that were in those roles there, and he was obviously one of those guys. And then, to be drafted by the Reds, he was with the Reds in the big leagues when I was drafted. So, getting a chance to pick his brain at times in spring training, he might not even remember it, but I was like, okay, man, this is like the dude I want to be at some point, or be like him. So, so yeah, I definitely got a chance to have a couple conversations with him, and then, follow his legacy through, Miami, and then in professional baseball. And, I definitely didn't, end up, having the career he had, but did get a chance to play in the big leagues. And, it was a great experience. But he was a guy that I definitely looked up to and followed his career. And, just we followed a couple similar paths, but he was, definitely a legend there.
There's an opportunity here, Mike. We typically do a segment on this show when Danny's here called Hall of Name. And it'll go, I have this running list of former teammates of his at every level, right? Whether it's at Miami, Team USA, in the minors, whatever big league team he was on. And I'll give him a name. And from that, he's just got a word association, just first thing that comes to mind, whether it was an awkward encounter on a elevator or what have you, right? So he's given stories like King Griffey Jr. at spring training, challenging him to a drag race. The day he walked in to play for the Mets when he got picked up by them, Pedro Martinez was insistent, like, hey, man, I've tried to call you several times and you didn't pick up. And so, like, he's just had these missed calls from Pedro Martinez. So, like, great stories. Now I'm curious if he would have something for me if I just said Mike Neu. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Probably if he remembers me. Maybe not. He might not even remember me. So those are some big names you threw out there.
Let's finish up with more talk about this season and your Bears. And I'm so looking forward to seeing this team. And just like having you guys in the conference. This is a really, really fun addition. So I'm very excited to hopefully run into you guys. I know you guys will make plenty of trips to North Carolina. So who would you say is a player that between fall ball and now perhaps has grown the most in a way that it's going to directly impact the team this spring? Or feel free to mention, a position player and a pitcher or however many you want that fall into this category.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned, a couple of those guys. I think, like you said, I think we're excited about Carl Schmidt, transfer from A&M, a Northern California guy who's super talented, that we recruited out of high school and kind of got a second chance on him. And another local guy, that just probably, slipped through on us, but we stayed in contact with through that process. And it was good. So, I think Ryan Spolero on the mound has been like a mid to upper 90s guy that can pitch out of our bullpen, who's had some ups and downs with his command and things like that, but had a really good fall for us, and I think could make an impact. And he's kind of bounced around from being a Northern California guy from Fresno, and then St. Mary's College, and then junior college out in Arizona, and then over here with us. So I think he's a guy that could be really impactful on the mound for us. And honestly, I mean, I could mention like 10 guys. I mean, I think there's a lot of, really exciting guys, and I'm not going to go through our whole roster, but I mean, those are a couple guys that, stand out that could be really exciting, but there's multiple guys that have been, have super good tools, slash work ethic and makeup that wouldn't shock me if they had really impactful years. So I think that's one of the exciting things. There's some guys you're rooting for to do that because of some of the athleticism and tools and makeup combo that these guys have.
I'll follow up on Jaron and PJ up the middle. I've got a particular interest in them. I was a middle infielder back in my time, so those are the positions that I pay it special attention to, probably more particular attention to, just out of nature of me being me. What is it that makes those two such a good fit, both with each other and as they align with your program and the style of team that you want to have?
Yeah, I mean, I think they just makeup wise, who they are as people, and then how they bring that to the field. I mean, just like ultra competitive. I mean, you watch these guys play, and it's just like inspiring. The way they go about it every day. I mean, they just are focused. They're competitive. They want to excel individually, but also as a team, more importantly. So there's definitely the selflessness that comes with, wanting to be good, but also be a part of something great. And then just, yeah, I mean, there's just a level of toughness and, understanding of the game and how to win that they bring every day, which is really inspiring to our guys and cool to see. And then, obviously playing middle infield, just those are, I mean, I think anybody that's a baseball guy, it's just there's something great about watching great middle infielders play. I mean, they're fun to watch. They're dynamic. They make some unbelievable plays, and so it's just as a coach, you want to start up the middle and build your team out, and so you have two guys that are so dynamic at those positions, and they complement each other really well. I mean, it's two guys from really the same area, both from the San Jose area, that have known each other growing up and admired each other's game and knew each other already. And then to see them just to kind of get more and more comfortable with each other, but then even do it as freshmen to that level. I mean, it's not easy to do what they did. And, but because of who they are and the type of work ethic that they put in, it's really something to build off of and exciting to watch.
As compared to the rest of your career, and we'll end on Jaron and PJ with this, the jump from year 1 to 2 for a lot of players can be significant. What have you observed out of those two? And again, especially compared to other players that you've had in your program?
Yeah, I mean, I think, last year, those guys are kind of fighting for their lives a little bit. They're going like, all right, we know how to play baseball. Let's just go out there and just like try to keep our heads above water and go compete. And they obviously did that. And I think by the time the year, was late in the year, they were like veteran guys. I mean, they're just like, all right, man, we know how to do this. Like, this is something we understand. And then Jaron obviously goes and wins the batting title in the Cape. PJ has had an amazing fall. So I think they're just baseball players. I mean, the guys, like, you can put them on a sandlot field and those guys would, know what to do and how to do it, so it's been cool to see them just get more comfortable in their game, get stronger, get more physical, continue to work hard, and and having guys like that, which I don't want to say like a throwback type player, but like guys that just like love the game and enjoy the competition of the game. They are kind of like those type of dudes. So you feel pretty good about them just like going out there and competing, on days when even they don't have their best day. Those are what great guys do. And those guys are both those type of guys.
I love it. I'm so excited you guys are here and here using my air quotes and part of the conference. You're still in Berkeley, still in the same place. You haven't physically moved, but there will be some physical movement, 4 road trips across the country for you guys in ACC play. You do luck out that one of those in conference competition, the 5th one is at Stanford. So hopefully a manageable schedule for you guys, and we'll get to see the truest representation of the type of baseball players you are and the type of team that you are. I'm looking forward to it, Mike. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate the time. We'll have to do this again soon and get Gravy in here so you guys can just riff and I'll sit back. And, maybe we'll do it while I'm grabbing lunch one day or something, and we can just have that as the show. But thanks so much. Really appreciate it, and best of luck in this 2025 season.
Oh, thank you, Daron. It's great talking with you, man. I appreciate it.